Good everyone, my name is Graphix. Today we want to reproduce the orthographic views that is displayed at the right hand side of the screen in isometric. And the question goes like this. It says two of the casting are shown in the figure 4 below. Draw the full size, the isometric view of the casting, making G the lowest point, right? So that means this point should be the lowest point, which I'm going to explain to you. Since we are drawing isometric, the first thing you should do is to draw your isometric axis. So if I should take my t-square, right, and I will draw my axis in this manner, so to be in this manner, the vertical, right, this way, the vertical, right, and the x and z axis, this is the first thing you do, right? They are inclined both at 30 degrees. Now if you look at the figure very well, we are given the entire length of that figure. You said G should be the lowest point. That means your G should be, this is the lowest point of the figure, and your G should be around here. So it means that the figure should be facing this direction here, right? So if I will start, that means I'm starting from this point G here. Is that okay now? So from the beginning of G to the ending here, if you calculate through the plan, this is the plan here, we have 35 plus 20 plus 30, that will give us 90, right? Then the 90 plus this radius of 40 here, because from here to here is 40, so 90 plus 40 will give us 130, right? So I'm going to measure 130 at this axis here. So starting from 0 here, I'm going to draw 130. So I'm starting from 0 here, right? So this is 0 at this point, and I will move to this point here, which is what, 130. You can see that. So that is my 130. So at that point, I am going to draw my vertical line, placing my set square, my t-square, and I'll draw project a line vertical upward. Now see that. And if you look at the width here from the plan, we're having it to be what, 80, right? If you look at it, 40 here plus 40 here means that to give us what, 80. So from this point here, we're going to be measuring 80. So this is 80 here. This is the 80 we have here, right? And I am going to project it up too. So I'm projecting them up. And the height from the front elevation here, the height is given as 75. So I'm going to measure 75 from 0 upward here. This is 75. You can see that. So I'm going to make them form a box. So placing what I used to draw this, I'm going to move my set square, my t-square, and I'm going to draw the other part here, right? So they should be touching here. You can see that. And what I use to draw here, alright, I'll draw another line parallel. I'll go to this point here, and I'll draw another line this way. You can see that. So let's move this down a little bit. Let's move it down a little bit. So I'm going to move this to this point. You can see that on my t-square. I'm going to draw this. You can see that. So, and I'm going to do the same thing what I used to draw this. I'm going to move it to this point, and I'll be having this way. Right, so let me close that up. So this is what we have here. I have successfully reproduced this figure here. Is that taken? I have reproduced this figure here, as in the box at which I want to carve out my image. Now the next thing, we'll say this point here should be the lowest point, which is G. That means whatever I'm constructing will be facing this direction, like I said earlier. So let's start. If you look at from the back, that means this point here will be behind here, and that is 75, and it is thickened. So I am going to thicken it. So from here to this point is thickened, right? So I'll thicken it, because in the question here it is thickened. Similarly, behind also is also thickened. If you look at the plan, from here to here is thickened, which is also saying from here to here. So I'm going to thicken it also this way. Right, so I've taken that. Now if you look closely, we are given that the thickness is 15, right? So that means from here to here is 15. So I'm going to measure 15 from here to here. This is 15 here. And I'll take it up first of all with my faint line, right? Now the thickness from this side to this side will be what? 25. Is also equals to this point to this point. Since from here to here is 25, from here also to here is also what? 25. And this point to this point here is this point to somewhere around here. So this is 25 here. Alright, that's 25 we'll have there. And I'll use my instrument, and I'm going to draw this with my faint line first of all, this way. You can see that. Now I'll start to thicken. Now if you look at it before you start thickening the line, now if you look again, we are told that from this point here to here is given as 25, both at the two ends here and here. So I'll measure 25 from here. From this point, I'll measure 25. This is 25. And from this point too, I'll also measure 25. So this is 25. Alright? And it will be touching the line of 15. And this is the line of 15 here that I measured. So I'll roll this way. Then I'll bring this backward, right? So I'll bring this backward this way. Touch here, I should be able to thicken it. I should be able to thicken this. And I'll be able to thicken this too. And also to be able to thicken this. Right, so I'll be able to thicken that. Now the next thing is I'll thicken here also. Also thicken here. Right, now also close here up this way. You can see that. And if you look at it, the depth here from here to here is given as 30. So I'll bring out my 30 somewhere down around here. So I'll roll a line at this point. here, and I'm going to measure 30 on that line. So use my meter rule and I'll measure 30. So on that line, I'll be having 30. So taking it downward this way, right? And I'll bring this one downward too this way. I'll bring two downward also this way. I'll bring this downward too. Then I'll close them up. So from here to here is thickened. And also I'll bring it down too. So since from here to here is thickened, then from here to here is what? Is also thickened. And I'll bring it down like this. I'll bring it down too. Then I'll bring it down too. And with the help of my instrument, I'll connect this to this. And also I'll connect this to the distance of 15 here. Can you see that? Then I'll close it up. I'll also bring this down. Now we have even at this point too, I'll a little bit take it down a little bit from this point. Since here is coming down, I'll bring it down to from this point here, faint line. Now since we've done that from that point, right? So the next thing that we are going to do is the thickness. From here to here is 15. So from here somewhere around up is what? 15. So I'm going to measure 15 as the height from the baseline here, and that will be what? 15. So this is 15 here, right? And I'm going to take my set square and I'm going to draw a line from this point straight down here, faint line first of all, right? So that line also I'm going to connect it to the other point here. From here you connect it here, so I should be able to thicken it because in the diagram here it is thickened. I'll thicken it to this point. You can see that, and I'll bring this down from here to this point. And I'll also bring this one here to this point. So in doing that, I will extend this straight down here to touch here, and I will close it up too. I'll close it up too. This is what we have here. Now before we can do anything, discover that at this end here there is a curve, right? And that curve has a radius of what? Of 40. So what will help me is for me to get the center of that line, right? And from here that is showing you the center of that line is given to be 40, right? So from here to here is 40. So the center of this figure is what? Is 40. I'm going to measure 40 from here. This is 40 here. And with the help of my instrument, I'm going to project it to this point here. So this is the center of the line. So since from here to here is 40, I'll also measure 40. So I'll just place my compass from here instead of wasting my time measuring again. So this is 40 here, and I will move it here. This is another 40, then I'll do another 40 again. I'll do the 40 twice. You can see that. So I'll use my set square to draw. this to this. You can see that, and also this to this. You can see that. Now I want to construct. You will learn here how to construct an isometric circle again. So let's join the longest diagonal. From here to here is longer than from here to here, so we are going to join. Passing through the center here. You can see that. Now the next thing we should do is to connect this end here to this point here, as in from this end to the X, and from this end to the Z. So I'll just put it this way. So I'm connecting those two. Now this is where they are meeting up. Is that taken? And I'm going to take my compass. I will place it at this end here in order to draw a curve here. So I'm going to gauge it in order to draw the curve there. Like that. Can you see? Now place it here also in order to get this also. Right? Place it here. Right, so once you've done that, the next thing you do is to connect this point together with this point. And also this point together with this point. You can see that. Now the next one we'll be doing here is the same thing that we applied here, we also apply at the base. So this is what we'll do. To avoid repetition of what we did here, we are going to project this point. So just bring it down here. You can see that. And I will join the diagonal of this to this point. Right? And I'm going to project here backward too. Then I'll project this point here. I'm going to bring it down, which will be around here. You can see that. So from that point, I'll bring it down to just a dot, and I'll bring it down to just a dot here. So confirm the diagonal has 2 points, which is this point and this point here. So I'm going to project them down, transfer the point to this point, instead of redoing them again, this point to this point. Now I can take my compass now, place it at this end here, take it to this end, then I'll draw my arc. You can see that, and I'll place it at this point here to draw this too. So it will be touching the diagonal this way. So in doing that, I'll just join this point and this point together this way. You can see that. And also I'm going to join this point to this point this way. You can see that. Now the next thing is, if you look at the diagram very well, we have a circle that is placed here, right? And the radius of that circle, the diameter of the circle is 40, so the radius is 20. So my meter rule, I'm going to measure 20, 20, right? I'm going to measure 20, 20 from here. This is 20 here, right? And I'll place it at the center here. I'll mark along the vertical here 20, the left 20, the right 20, and here also 20. So with the help of my set square, I'll place it on my T-square, and I'll draw a line this way, passing through that point. I'll draw another line to pass through this point also, this way, and I'll draw another line too to pass through this point, so that I'll be able to form a square this way, and also this way. You can see that? So I have formed out my square. Now I can use the easiest way I told you about, which you can use your French curve and look for a circle that can best fit this circle here. So if I use this my French curve and look for the best circle, if I use this is not fitting in correctly, let's see now. But if I use this seems to be too big. So again, it seems to be too big. So that means this should be better, but it's not fitting in correctly. So I am going to use my compass. So if I place, I'll draw a line from this point to touch here, just like I did earlier. From this point also to touch here. So they are meeting at this point here. So from here, place your compass here, take it to this end here, which you draw your curve. Let's do that. So see that? I'll come here also at this end too, take to this end to draw another curve. Get it at the center here, this point here, to draw another curve. Then also here, this point, to draw another curve. So this is what we have here, right? Now what do you notice? You measure 15 millimeter downward from that point. Measure 15 millimeter downward because thickness from here to here is 15. So I'm going to measure 15 millimeter downward. So from this line here, I'll measure 15. So I'll measure, this is 0 and this is 15 here, right? Because there will be another circle showing is a true. And I'm going to repeat the same thing I did here. I will draw at every edge. I'll bring that point down from this edge here, this edge. I'll bring it down a little bit. This edge too is already down, and this edge too, I'll bring it down. Then I'll connect those edges together to form the box. So this will touch here, right? And this will touch here too, and this will also touch here, and this will touch here also. So if you notice it, earlier I drew a diagonal here. Similarly, I also have another diagonal here too. So I'll transfer this point downward, right? So I'll transfer this point from this point here, transfer it to this point, and from this point here that I used to draw this arc, I'll transfer it here. What I will now do is, since I place my compass here to get this curve here, I'll place my compass here to get the other curve. Now where would the curve start from? This is what I'm going to do here. I can just gauge it. You can see it starts from this point and end here, right? It starts from here and end there. You can see that. So this is what we have there. So we've successfully drawn out that out. Now the next thing, the last but not the least, is this box here, right? So how can I get the box? If you measure 35 from the back, you get to this point here, right? So let's measure 35 from here. So if I measure 35 from here to here, this is 35. Then I'll project it up to this point, right? So at that point, I'm going to draw a faint line first, representing the back. Then again, the thickness there of that box from here to here is given to be 20. And I'm going to measure 20 from here. This is where the 20 is, and I'm going to close it up this way. Now if you notice something, this is the center here, right? That means, and the height or the width of that box here is given from here to here is given to be what, 40. So I'm going to take half of it, which is 20, from my meter rule, is 20, right? And I'll place it at this end here, and I'll measure 20 to the left, 20 to the left, and also 20 to the right. Then I'll use my set square, and I'll move this point straight down to the 20 I measured, which is this, and also here too. Okay, now close it up. And I'll close it up here too. Then I'll draw a line inward this way and measure 15. And the thickness of that line from here to here is 15. Why am I using 15? The reason is from this point to this point is 15. So at that point, I'm going to join here this way. Oh, taking this way, and I'm going to join here this way. So this is what we have. So we have successfully reproduced this figure in isometric. So if you have found this video helpful, please don't forget to click on the subscribe button. Thanks for watching.